Zero Calorie Marketing is a podcast created for marketers by marketers. In this podcast, we cover everything from marketing, philosophy, life, and whatever else that comes in between. We ask our guests about their current marketing struggles, how they overcame their biggest hurdles in their career, as well as tips and tricks listeners may be able to take away. Without a further ado, let's get to it. So today I'm joined by Mollie Woolnough-Rai. I hope I've got that surname correct. I hope I've got that right. Who's the Senior Marketing Manager at Penny Black. Look, I know Mollie, so I can just call her Mols. So if anyone out there is listening, I can get away with that because we've met enough times. So she's been in marketing for a minute. But what I like most about Mollie is the fact that she studied geography at university, just like me. And anyone who's been to university knows geography students are the best. So what we're going to talk today is about who Mollie is, and find out a bit more about her. So when she's not watching the National Geographic, which I'm sure she does, eating a plate of chicken wings, today we're going to find out more about what she gets up to. So welcome to Zero Calorie Marketing, Mollie. How are you today?
Thank you. That's a really nice welcome. Lots of very niche facts about me, which is really nice to hear. But yeah, I'm good today. Happy the sun's shining in London. Looking forward to getting stuck in, really.
So for the audiences or people who are listening just on the audio, Mollie is actually in her corporate boardroom, which actually features posters of her company, Penny Black. And it's quite fetching in terms of how she's living and breathing the brand. So Mollie is one of the real OGs, in my opinion. So,
yeah.
And also it's actually quite, Penny Black, anyone who's, this isn't sponsored by Penny Black, or if you would like to, you're welcome to. But the branding itself is actually quite distinctive. It's like, it's very clean and crisp. And, hopefully we'll find out more about that. Let's get into it and then just find out a bit more. Let's, straight in. So Mollie, who are you and what do you do?
So yeah, I'm Mollie Woolnough-Rai, and you pronounce my name pretty well. So well done there. That's a first. I am a marketing professional living and working in London. And what I do, just like you said, is senior marketing manager at Penny Black. So Penny Black is in the e-commerce space. We're a tech platform that allows e-commerce brands to insert personalized flyers into their packaging to help really fuel that unboxing moment and the customer experience. And what I do at Penny Black is really trying to get the marketing function up and running, and prove the value of marketing in the business. Luckily, my CEO is very, very excited and involved in marketing, which is always great. So that's really lovely. And focusing on building partnerships and sales enablement and a little bit of event work. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. But previously, I worked at another e-commerce SaaS startup called Loyalty Line, and there I specialize in content marketing. So I've moved from specializing in content marketing to more generalist marketing. It's been quite a nice transition because I'm able to bring my content marketing expertise through to Penny Black today and being able to implement lots of stuff I know about content marketing. But what I used to do at Loyalty Line was a lot of lead gen campaigns led through content marketing, maintaining a consistent tone of voice across the business, maintaining our blog strategy, and being able to do content marketing where it's not just writing or just producing stuff, but really seeing that content go from end to end, which I really, really loved. And again, that's an approach I'll be bringing through into my role at Penny Black.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, just before we started recording, you were mentioning how, knowing this, this isn't, this is within marketing, when you know the industry, marketing pretty much is, you can use analogies and, the skills you've picked up are quite translatable, and you can go from one industry to another, as long as you know the marketing principles. But do you think you having that background has helped or if you were to say go into something completely random, do you think you could have taken all the learnings from that, your previous roles, not just your immediate role, but the previous roles before that, and taken that on?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, I'm very lucky that I've moved from one e-commerce startup to the next one. So a lot of it is quite relatable, but obviously each business has their own objectives, and Penny Black is at an earlier stage of growth to what my previous role was. So I'm having to adapt a lot of my approaches, on budget and scale down, which is also a learning curve in itself. Like I'm going to have to really focus on what's going to drive the results straight away and like the ROI. But it's been nice to be able to bring that knowledge over. So like knowledge of the space, knowledge of the people we should be partnering with. I have an inkling of what can work. So being able to have that direction to start with, and then if it doesn't work, I can undo it. But at least I have something to begin with in that line in the sand. It's also really good for networking. Like as right now I'm a marketing team of one. So being able to speak to other marketers in the SaaS e-commerce space and share knowledge and learn from them has been really valuable. So being able to stay in that space has allowed me to do that. I think to the second part of your question about do I think I'd be able to pick it up and move it into another sector? I think I'd be able to move from B2B to B2B business and organization, but B2C as a whole, completely different ball game. I think, the copywriting side I'd be able to bring forwards, but more of the strategic approach, what activities we're going to focus on will be very different. B2B is a lot more about thought leadership and carving like a voice in the market, whereas B2C is a lot about acquisition, getting in front of the right people at the right time, social media advertising, which I don't really have the expertise in yet. So B2B, I think I'd be okay. B2C is like a whole other ball game, which I'm not so sure on.
To the geography people listening to this, it's like going from human geography to physical geography.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Completely different departments.
Yeah, exactly.
Very niche joke there, I think.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, you've got a quite interesting background in terms of, what you studied at uni is not what you're doing right now. Do you think that kind of has helped you, or do you think that could have, that has a because you don't have that kind of marketing background, which a lot of people don't, but that you end up doing something different. How's that been for you? As did you have to learn from scratch, or how did you kind of teach yourself on,
Yeah, good question. So like you said, I studied geography at university, and the beauty of geography is that it's very essay-based, very research-based, a lot of independent research and understanding, and also it's got that human element to it because I did human geography, so it's like understanding behaviours. So I was able to bring all of that over. Obviously, my writing was like super academic, and my first role out of uni was at a branding agency, and I worked with a really, really good copywriter called George, and he taught me how to move from that academic style into advertising writing. So that was a really steep learning curve, and I remember having like a few interactions where I felt quite offended because I was like, but I've been writing for 3 years. Yeah. Why is this not resonating? Why is this not a good enough blog post for the marketing world? So that was quite a steep learning curve, is that change of language. But I did do additional modules alongside my degree of marketing modules. So one was like introduction to marketing, and then I did a digital marketing module, which I really enjoyed. And it came to me quite naturally in the sense that I have always been a creative person, and I've always grown up around self-run businesses. So my parents have worked for themselves for the last 35 years, running their own boutique store in Cheltenham. So I've seen like what the hustle's like. I know a little bit about commercial merchandising, selling to a customer, although like on a very small scale, just working Sundays in the shop is very different to marketing to thousands of people on an email list. But that gave me a bit of commercial understanding, and then marketing kind of sat quite nicely between creativity and that commercial understanding, which is why at uni it resonated quite easily with me. But I would say about like the modules I was doing is it can be quite theoretical.
Yeah.
And I've not used any of that really in my day-to-day. Like it can be a bit outdated because it takes ages for anything to get through academia, and we would apply them to case studies, the theory, but I barely use the 3 Ps when I talk in my day. Like, it's not something that I use.
No, honestly, like when I remember the first day I had my first graduate role after uni, and I think I had to write an email to someone, and normally my colleagues, obviously they were like testing me on this kind of graduate training thing. They were like, "Oh, write this email to this person and just run it by me before." And I really so I was really eager to impress, and I fresh out of uni, I was like, "Yeah, I'll show them." But then it's like a 3-paragraph long thing, and then I showed it to my colleague. He's like, "Yeah, you can say this in 2 sentences." I said, "No, what have I done? Why did I spend 3 years of my life in the library?"
Literally.
So it's like a reality hits you in the face kind of moment where I was thinking, what have I learned? Just forget all that. And, it's a new way of communicating. I mean, although your immediate role was in this kind of e-commerce world or SaaS world, you have had a taste of other kind of marketing, other products and services. I'm not saying you've seen it all and done it all. Don't want to date anyone, but obviously, my question is like, what's been the thing that you kind of go back to? What's been like your best marketing tip or thing that kind of always seems to kind of work with whatever you've done?
Yeah, so I think with a content background, I'm always thinking about the best way to communicate messages clearly to the audience, right? So anything I do marketing wise we should be able to communicate well. So when it comes to tips that I try and share with people that I'm talking to about marketing, it's all about the best way to communicate. And my key tip is all about leading with the value and then your solution. So I see a lot of marketing copy or marketing assets, which is like, we're proud of this. We've achieved this. This is our new sales development representative and he's doing this. And it's like, well, no one really cares about that. They care about how you're going to benefit their lives and make them look good. So we sell our product to marketers, right? So, I've been proofreading some stuff today, and it's just, I want everyone to start flipping the way they structure their sentences around. So the value for the reader is at the front of their sentence, the front of the ebook, the front of whatever you're creating, the social post. And it's always about what you can do for the audience and communicating that across. And then you come in and you say, hey, our product can do X, Y, and Z. And I think that's quite a interesting shift, because there can be a lot of like very pushy sales approaches when it comes to marketing. And this is a really nice way to show the marketer or whoever you're selling to that you're going to make their life better. And you're going to be able to just make everything brighter and make them look good in front of their superiors, because that's another thing, right? So that's my biggest marketing tip, is always lead with the value, then talk about your solution.
It's almost like give your customers an instant kind of idea of what's in it for them, and then we happen to do X, Y, Z rather than the kind of the old kind of meme, Apple versus Samsung, 1,000 songs in your pocket versus we've got a 3.5 gigabyte hard drive on which means nothing really. Exactly.
And it's cool because in that value point, everyone says, oh, you need to lead with the pain point. Well, in that value section at the start, that's where you can feed the pain point in really nicely.
So does that mean that a marketer should spend time researching customers, customer personas, and when you started your new role at your company, how did you approach that? Especially when you're dealing with early stage startups, they don't necessarily have all the documents and customer personas. Is that something you had to build from scratch, or can you tell us a bit more about that?
So this is something we're literally looking at now. So really good timing you've asked about it. But yeah, I'm going to have to do with our sales guy and our CEO a little bit more research into what our target market looks like. We have an idea, but obviously things are changing all the time in like the startup world. But I think what I've been lucky to have at my current role is to be able to be on calls with our clients. So really just seeing them face to face, they don't feel very like elusive, and I can just talk to them quite candidly on the call. And I think that's what's helping us at this very early startup stage, because we're still making sure our product's really tailored to the client, right? So just being able to have that FaceTime with them is really valuable. And to have a marketer on those calls, that's something quite new to me, and I'm really enjoying it because I'm a marketer selling or speaking to other marketers, so I can resonate with their challenges. Yeah, I might not know, the beauty space or the fashion space as well, but they have the same challenges as me, and being on the calls really helps. And that's something I'd like to continue doing, especially as I start to do more product marketing or more case studies and build relationships with our primary clients.
A lot of our, a lot of marketing managers and directors I speak to often have multiple customer personas. What advice would you give to anyone who has like multiple kind of case studies of people who could work with them? And how do you approach that, and who do you go for first?
Yeah, so we actually have 3 types of personas, right, that we're going to have to build out that we sell to. So we sell to e-commerce brands, we sell to e-commerce agencies who have brands as part of their client list. And then we're also selling to fulfillment centers. And each of these segments, again, have their own challenges, pain points that we're seeking to solve. They have their own concerns about our technology and how it's going to affect their processes. So what I'd say is, I think you could always start with talking about the benefit to the end user. That might be a really good place to start. So for us, it's all about how we're delighting customers at the unboxing moment. So if you lead with that, then it should resonate with every single persona along that chain. They're like, oh, I get it. We're making customers' unboxing experience really enjoyable. Right, bingo. And then coming back from that, I'm working a lot of I'm doing a lot of sales collateral at the moment. And a lot of that is based on the merchant's success and seeing success, because agencies and fulfillment centers, they want to also see mutual success from the retailers, right? Because then they get more payment in the fulfillment center and the agencies get more clients, etc. So maybe always start with the end user and then potentially work back. We're doing tailored assets as well to the different audiences. But of course, it works now while we're very small and we're focusing on sales enablement. But later on down the line, we're a small team, so we won't have the capacity to create 5 versions of the same ebook for different segments. So I think what I'm going to have to do is focus on the merchant and the merchant success for sure.
So that next up, in terms of this is a question that we ask all of our marketing managers and marketing folks. Not just in your current role. What has been consistently the biggest headache that's been keeping you awake at night? Throughout your, what's the biggest bane in your life? Throughout your marketing, not personal stuff, but marketing.
This is not a therapy session. So this is, it's an interesting question because as a marketer, there's, a bazillion things that can be on your list. Lots of imposter syndrome moments and things like that. But I think for me, especially from a content background, and I think probably a lot of your guests might say this, is reporting on the return or the ROI of content. So I've kind of been, in my previous role, a lot of our content marketing or content campaigns or lead gen campaigns, we would report them against, leads generated on MQLs generated, but we'd also report against sales made or opportunities opened and sales won, which, as I'm moving into leading my own marketing team, it does feel slightly problematic because there's a point where marketing leads stop becoming marketing leads and they start becoming sales leads. So it's out of the control. So I'm trying, what keeps me awake at night really is deciding whether marketing success is reported on top line metrics like engagement, call to action clicks and downloads, or whether marketing success should go deeper into sales and into the sales world. So that's my...
I think the follow-up from that is, it's a controversial question, but, do you see your role as being something which is going to drive short-term sales and lead generation, or do you see it as, like there's all this kind of brand versus marketing kind of angle where it is really going to, an ebook or content that you deliver now or create now will kind of be evergreen for your customers because their problems really won't go away. How do you balance against the two, and how do you get them, good that your CEO understands marketing, but, like a lot of companies a lot of people we speak to are like, there's a dichotomy between short term and long term. How do you balance between the two?
Yeah, it's a good point. And I think, in previous roles, what we've done is the short-termism is about like timely and having a input into timely conversations, especially in the e-commerce world and with retailing, everything's changing all the time. So short-termism is like having an opinion on timely events and big changes in the market. And then long-termism is like what you're saying with creating evergreen content and making sure that evergreen content is repurposable in lots of different ways and will resonate with all the different target markets like you've spoken about. But then, I have really enjoyed in my previous role working with the sales team on, once you get a lead from content, how are we following up with them? Are the sales sequences like related to the content? So I would really like to have that like really nice sales and marketing alignment in my current role, and we're already doing that. So there is a kind of involvement that I'd like to have in sales, but I guess going back to my headache, it's like, well, how do I report on the marketing success of that, and whether like marketing's time should stay on that? Because it's like, well, if we're, what part of the revenue are we going to contribute to? So I guess it will kind of formulate as the team grows and as the business grows and as the sales team grows, or whatever approach we take. But yeah, it's a difficult one to answer right now.
Asking all the hard questions.
That's okay.
I mean, to be honest, I think that's a really good answer. There is no kind of right or wrong answer in a way, because a lot of the times you're having to, as a business, you need to deliver commercial results. But at the same time, marketers, and especially, brand marketing managers, you've got to have you don't want to cheapen the brand versus you want to kind of have this kind of, at least this illusion, or at least give this kind of brand, put out stuff which is going to make your brand look good, make it look like a market leader or thought leader kind of thing. So there's that kind of contradiction between the two. Next question, in terms of all the various marketing activities that you've dipped your toe in, committed to, what's been the best return of investment for you to date, and could you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah. So in my previous role, we did a lot of content campaigns, and we started off with 4 a year, so 1 a quarter, and then we slimmed it down in the last year to, I think, about 3 a year. So our best campaign would always be one at the start of the year, which was based on trends. And what we would do is we would create an ebook and a webinar series or an online event, which you actually helped with some assets for that, which was, the award show, exactly. So that would be like a trends-based campaign. So, and we would create that content with partners in our space. So other e-commerce SaaS platforms would contribute to the ebook and also be on either the event or in the bootcamp or in the webinar, whatever event element we had. So it always have an ebook and event element. And it was really good in terms of ROI, because we only really paid for a designer to create the ebook for us. And then the rest was all managed in-house. When we were a lot smaller, it was all managed in-house. We would create the assets on Canva, the marketing team we would write all the email comms. And then because our SaaS partners were cross-promoting it with us, and we already had, we could tap into their audience, and they'd already established trust with those clients, they would then download our ebook, and the list that we would acquire just grew and grew and grew. And we actually acquired like over 2,000 leads from from only paying for like the ebook design, and everything else was managed in-house. And I think the reason it generated a high ROI is because it's broad enough in the space. It's timely, it's hitting the audience when they're interested in trends for the new year. So it's timely there, it's hitting them then. It's also general enough where it's not just selling on our service, it's about the general e-commerce space and all the trends that are coming up. And then you've also got those trust markers by having high profile SaaS partners involved, like Klaviyo and Shopify we've had in the past as well. So it's just like the right target market, because we're tapping into those SaaS partners markets. And then, it was just a very timely hot topic. The only issue is then it's not evergreen.
Yeah.
Okay.
For people who aren't watching Mollie, just wave at someone who knows who this person is. Maybe it's the person from the Penny Black figurine, the
Queen.
Very trendy haircut she has, by the way. It's like 3 waves. I don't know if that symbolizes something. I'm sure it does.
It's her crown, yeah.
But what are the 3 wavy lines? Is it to symbolize like something?
So I think it's because basically Penny Black is the name of the first postal stamp that went out, which is why we're tapping into that, because we obviously provide like experiences at the postal moment, on the unboxing moment. So for me, those lines are what's on the stamp, right? They have all those squiggly lines and stuff.
But is that, by the way, is the picture actually based on the person, or is that person? Is that, you can't say? Is it? Are those traits?
It's the Queen. It's the Queen.
Surely no, or is it? Maybe younger.
Yeah, younger Queen Lizzie, not her today at 90, whatever.
Oh, but by the way, did you see the video of her cutting the cake? It was kind of disturbing and at the same time quite entertaining. So she, the press presented her with Queen's Golden Jubilee cake, and instead of cutting it, she actually stabs it, and she leaves the knife on the cake like Excalibur, waiting for one of her many servants to pull it out and add the rest of the cake. So I thought that was quite funny. Going back to this, so Mollie, tell us, obviously you're a geographer, which means that you're more intelligent than most people, because you're kind of well grounded and you know about what's happening around the world. What have been the best marketing books that you've kind of read? And what has a book that's kind of continues to kind of inspire you? Are there any books that you've read more than once?
Books read more than once is not marketing focused, but I've read The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime loads of times. I think that's the only book I've read more than once, actually. So not marketing focused. Cool. So marketing books. There's 3 that come to mind. So with my old manager, Zach, great guy, and we used to do a little bit of a book club. So when we'd catch up each week, we'd talk a little bit about what we'd learned. And these 3 books, actually 2 of the 3 are from that experience. So if he wants to comment, he might be able to add more context to this later. But the main one that I really liked was by Seth Godin, very obviously marketing influencer, but he wrote a book quite recently called The Practice. So I really liked it because it's about shipping creative work, which creatives can sometimes struggle to actually ship the work, right? So they can put all the effort in and then they don't really have the drive to ship it. There's imposter syndrome playing a part. They don't know if they've tackled everything. They're getting really into their head. But the practice is all about shipping work often and then learning from shipping it often, and the fact that it's okay to make mistakes when you just ship stuff. It doesn't always have to be perfect, just get it out. So I really liked that, what I took away from that. And what he also says in the book is it's not just about the output and the success of the output, because in the marketing world, right, I might generate an ebook and I can't control how many people. Yes, I can do everything I can to get people to download it and read it, but realistically, is sometimes it can fall flat, right? But what Seth Godin says is like, we need to take joy in the journey we took to create that piece of work and ship it. So it's all about process building, making sure that your process is good, and like finding the success in a successful process as well. Because marketers can get really hung up with outcomes. They can get really upset when it doesn't drive the leads that they predicted, or it doesn't drive an ROI. So the practice is really good for just shifting that mindset and trying to ship often, which I really liked. My second one is by Stephen King, and it's called On Writing. Obviously, I like Stephen King's writing anyway. I quite like horror, and he's a very good writer, right? But he's got a book called On Writing, and it's about creative copywriting and creative writing. But I've been able to apply a lot of his learnings to my day to day. But one of the key things I've pulled out to talk to you about is, he talks about having a creative toolbox, so that every writer has a toolbox. And in that toolbox, you have different tools like your grammar, your rhythm, being able to use similes and metaphors. And in each scenario that you're writing, you should be able to lean into your toolbox and take tools for that situation, which I really like in a marketing sense, because it's like you're having, as a content marketer, you're having to tap into different tools, right, for different formats. So an email versus a ebook, you have to use very different tools to communicate the message correctly, which I really liked. And then the final one is called The Artist's Way. So when I was Googling this before, it's marked as a self-help spiritual book, helping people rediscover the creativity. But I am quite spiritual, potentially, but I did quite like it for the exercises she brings into it. So she has 2 key exercises to help you improve your writing or kickstart that creativity. And one is the morning pages. So that's writing 3 pages of writing just straight from your head every morning when you wake up. Truthfully, I only did it for like a month, and I didn't do it in the morning, but I tried to do it as much as possible, and it is really good at re-unlocking your creativity. And then also creative dates. So taking yourself on creative dates. So going to a gallery by yourself, going shopping by yourself, and fueling your creativity from like the world around you.
Wow.
So wide variety.
Seth Godin, Stephen King, and Artist's Way. These are 3 iconic books, and also each one kind of, I think we could almost do a deep dive in each one. I don't want to keep you too long. So these are kind of rapid fire questions. What's your opinion on Bollywood versus Hollywood?
So actually, I only watched one Bollywood film for my dissertation, but I think it's joyful. It's a lot more joyful than Hollywood.
Apple or Samsung? Android, I should say.
I've got a Samsung phone, but Apple computer. Samsung?
This interview is over. I'm sorry, Mollie. This image I have of you, master marketer, your world is full of Apple. I'm joking. I think last things I want to kind of cover really quickly, and we're kind of running out of time. What was the 1 minute viral video that you made about, and why did it go viral?
And my degree.
Yeah.
So it didn't actually go viral because we had to position it as a video that would go viral. So probably upselling myself when I was writing about my degree there. But it was about AIDS awareness and helping people who are struggling with AIDS reduce the stigma around taking their medication in like a setting. And it was about like young people who are struggling with it and feeling free and open to take their medication, because lots of people hide it and they get very self-conscious, so then they miss their pills. So it was about reducing the stigma around that.
Last up, I think this conversation could have gone on for longer, but the new format of the show is a lot shorter. What I want to ask you is how can people get in touch with you if they wanted to find out more or ask you for advice or just generally have a chat to you?
Yeah, so LinkedIn is obviously the main place. I'm very open to chatting to other marketing professionals. And I'm also going to do a little plug for a Content UK Slack community. It's run by lovely Christina, who Suds and I both know. But there's lots of great content marketers in there. You can sign up and I'll be in there. And I'm more proactive on Slack than LinkedIn. So the Content UK community as well.
Yeah, I would highly recommend them because that's how we met. Thank you so much for your time, Mollie. And I'm really looking forward to putting this up. It's a pity it's audio only because they can't see the lovely background arranged and everything. But I think there's so many good gems to kind of pick apart on this episode. We are very much looking forward to putting this up. And I think, you know what, we definitely will need to do a second part of this at some point in the future. And thank you again. Oh, last thing, where's the best chicken? Where's the best chicken place in town?
Oh, Wingman's in Kilburn.
Yay! Wingman's.
Yeah.
Anyone from Wingman's, if you're listening, please, we're looking for sponsors. You know, we'll just do it for the food rather than any money. So to get in touch. Thank you again for your time, Mollie, and we will see you very, very soon.
See you very soon. Bye-bye.
Like what you heard? Then check out some of the other episodes in this series or visit us at zerocaloriemarketing.com.